since the advent of the Sony Echo Coin G7 version in 2020, with an excellent experience and unimaginable value for money, dominated the entry-level market for Echo Coins, and the 5-year period is already large. A new upgrade is surging. The Sony Flame B600 is coming. In this video, we will give an in-depth review of the Sony B600 to see how it compares to its predecessor, the G. What are the 700 and Samsung's entry-level Samsung Q700D upgrades worth buying? First of all, looking at the appearance, the Sony B600 adopts the number of projects and metal mesh as a whole. The design of the cover is still covered with a classic metal mesh cover in front of the fuselage. But at the top comes the place where the machine board distinguishes the seats. The Sony B600 is covered with a metal mesh cover in 2 sky positions. It's like telling consumers, "Look at me with 2 big sky voices." Samsung Q7 white background is made of metal mesh photos in front and above. The dimensions covering the 3 new bins are as follows. The Sony B600 is the smallest of the 3. Next, the subwoofer. The Sony B600 and G700 feature a metal grille. The cover sound guide hole B600 has been upgraded to a runway type. Samsung Q7 XD is covered by G5, which is relatively low cost. Subwoofer construction with relatively poor effect. But how is it performing? You have to look at the parameters of each family, and how it actually performs. First of all, let's look at the upgrade of the new speaker. The Sony B600 uses a 3.1.2 channel front left, middle, and right channel, plus 2 obvious sky voices, plus a large subwoofer. 6 speakers in total. The Sony 7700 features a 3.1-liter infinity collar speaker. The effect of surround sound is mainly simulated through virtual technology. The Samsung Q7BD also has the same 3.1.2-liter configuration as the Sony B600. However, the types of speakers vary greatly. The Sony B6005 full-screen speakers are all used with Sony. The same high-quality space-balanced speaker as the flagship A-series G700. For 3 traditional runway speakers, the Q7D is a normal full-screen unit. In short, space-balanced speakers increase the vibration area, with better sound detail and fewer wet needles. But the specific performance will really be better. Let's adopt the human head pulse. A piece of content is recorded. You can feel it. Yo-Yo television series exclusive. The high-screen part of the Sony B600 is more transparent. Thanks to the space-balance technology, the entire high screen has clear lines. Welcome to enrichment. Whether it's the slender texture of the violin, or wipe and impact, it can be bright and not subtle, and the thin version is retracted in the full-screen unit design and presentation. The characteristics of the point to the extreme, the details are weak, especially in the complex tracks without symphonic climaxes. High frequencies are easily drowned in the energy of low and medium frequencies. However, the growth width is comparable to that of B600. Samsung Q7 XD's high-frequency tuning is biased towards sharpness, sacrifice part of the softness for a strong impact. But listening for a long time can easily lead to fatigue. Final clarity part. We recorded a Dolby World Dune 2. Taylor Swift's era concert clip. Young master, how do is it feel to a the world? Exciting, to say the least. My lord. How are you, old friend? My advancita massicu red thesity. We rest still smoothing gutaf raw spots. My woman is long. How did you walk to the new house? Very excited, to say the least. Oh my god. Oh my god. How could you? Husband? My advancita massicu red thesity we rest still smoothing gutaf raw spots me. Late a young master how do is it feel to a the new world exiting to say the least. My lord how are you old friend my advancita massicu red. Hesitai restil smoothing gutaf raw spots my lady. Yo-Yo television series exclusive. The mid-frequency of Sony B600 can be called a middle finger speaker as stable as the new planet of Mount Tai. Let the dialogue be remembered whether it is the low boy in the movie, or the girl chanting. B600's mid-frequency density and imaging power are excellent. Life seems to float in the air, and the background sound is layered. My home is Sony TV after opening the newly upgraded AI Voice Enhancement 3.0. Even if the overall volume is turned down, it can be individually lowered to the volume of life. The variability of life is still very high. This is perfect for me to watch movies in my home in the middle of the night without disturbing others. The mid-frequency conditions of the machine faction are biased towards equilibrium. In the route standard mode, life is flat, but there is a lack of emotional tension after switching to theater mode. The mid-range is slightly suppressed by the low frequencies. As a result, life regresses slightly. The mid-frequency of Samsung Science Body is more emphasized. The dynamic performance of the vocals is thick, and the details are slightly rough. When rock music is played, the vocals of the lead singer are easily drowned out by the instruments. After turning on his own sound effects, although the vocals were strengthened, but it sacrifices the overall balance. Slightly abrupt. But if you have a Samsung TV at home, you can try using the Q Symphony mode. Similar to the mid-range production model of Sony TVs. Combined with the mid-frequency production performance of TVs, there will be an improvement. But I think there is a certain gap between people and B600 veneers. Finally, let's listen to the low frequency and the performance of the subwoofer. The phase valence of B600 is increased by the structural strength of the entire body of G700. Resonance is reduced. Therefore, a more powerful drive unit was used. Let's try the main text of low-frequency classic songs. No cover or use without permission. Ignore you. In terms of low-frequency decline, the Sony B600 is better than the Sony G700 and slightly better than the Samsung Q700D. This is because the Samsung Q700D is limited by structure and power. The arrival of the low-frequency unit to crush people is indeed not in vain. But in terms of rebound, the Sony B600 is better than the Samsung Q700D and slightly better than the Sony G700D. The biggest problem with Samsung Science is actually that it is caused by slander. Low-frequency anchors have a slight hum sound. The Sony B600 generation of subwoofers has performed much better. Whether it is the roar of the engine of the vehicle in the Cyberpunk game, it's still a matter of performance in various low-frequency scenes in the movie, and some people have an advantage. After talking about the sound quality performance. Next, let's take a look at the surround technology of Songwan products. Sony machines are equipped with VSE Vertical Surround Engine S4 Pro Front Virtual Surround technology. The Sony B630 adds a 3D surround to us. The sound field mentioned earlier is the 2-channel one we watch. Streaming content sound field optimizes the sound field to 3D history with one click. The Samsung Q7XD uses spatial self-view influence. Let's try the streaming movie Eric. How effective are the Chinese of the 3 products in the book? Oh my god, oh my god. I give up, god damn it. I give up. The biggest difference between Sony B600 and Sony G700 is the addition of Sky Shengdao. Let the bullets pass through the air and the violence that hits the concrete. More based on perception. It's a bit like switching from a 2D world to a 3D world. Samsung Q700D's spatial adaptive sound effects. It can also turn 2-channel energy into stereo sound. But in calculating the effect of Sky channels, personally, I feel that the damage is not as obvious as the B6 board. But in terms of the processing of the front and rear channels, it can be a draw with the Sony B600. After talking about lubricating oil technology. Next, let's take a look at the ecology of the Sony B600. Because I use it with Sony TV. So all I need is a Bravia Connect app. You can manage it with one click. All of my Bravia devices are equipped with Echo Coins. Can be turned on with one click. Sound fill and AI operations enhancements. 3.0 also allows for more customization of advanced settings. Let Echo Coin realize its full potential. You can also directly control the sound pen on the TV, such as the volume of the subwoofer, speech clarity, and so on. Sony TVs have done UI quick operations. Worry no more. I can't find the remote control, it's very convenient to operate. This is indeed a good praise. This is almost the end of this video. Let's briefly summarize Sony B600 as Sony Response Coin. A new generation of entry-level products makes up for the lack of previous generation products. Under the regret of further study in the sky, it also balances the high-quality space of the Flag A series. Speaker decentralization Emperor technology is also aligned with the flagship. This price range can indeed be called the fault of the local list. I think if you are a film and television lover, you have a certain pursuit of sound effects. especially for users who lock their TVs. If you are considering buying a low-cost mutual coin in life, the Sony B600 is undoubtedly a very good choice. And now it coincides with the huge benefits of the national census. You can touch the epic discount of 628. This is almost the end of this video. If you like this video, don't forget to pay attention to it 3 times in a row. See you in the next video. Goodbye.